All right, good afternoon. So, I'm going to be presenting my personal guidance philosophy presentation by Summer Flick. All right, so some key parts of my discipline philosophy are compassion and support, clear expectations and consistent boundaries. Discipline is about teaching, not punishing. Students learn best with positive reinforcement, logical consequences, and respectful correction. No child shall be labeled or pushed aside, and I value the whole child. Working in partnership with families. This is crazy important to being a teacher. I believe that students' families are partners in the growth of their child in and out of school. It is important to lean on families to get valuable insights to their strengths, weaknesses, and cultural background. I will engage families with informal conversations, surveys, and newsletters. I will also use platforms such as Class Dojo to regular update families. When observing in classrooms, I've seen numerous teachers using Class Dojo despite it being kindergarten or pre-K or a little bit older, and I thought it was a great resource to keep the parents updated and involved in their child's school day. Creating the best learning environment. There are a lot of aspects that create the best possible learning environment for students. One that is important to my philosophy is collaboration with my teacher team and families. Seeking outside ideas will allow for an inclusive and developmentally appropriate learning environment. It's really important for me that I don't only draw from my own ideas, that I go to other resources to get new things and great ideas that I would have never brought up on my own. That's why teaching it can't be a solo effort. How can we do this? Well, here's some ways. Routines, having a warm and welcome environment, safety and precautions, hands-on learning experiences, plenty of exploration, active listening, which is a big one, colorful visuals and decorations, flexible seating, which has a lot to do with accommodating special needs students and those who might have ADHD or ADD. We also set clear expectations and we use inclusive materials for those who can't use what others are using. Positive interactions. In any classroom, but especially a kindergarten classroom, it is essential to have positive interactions with your students. I plan to warmly greet children every morning by offering a fist bump, high five, or hug. My classroom will be a safe space where everyone feels seen and heard. To do this, I'll utilize active listening, consistent encouragement, and emphasize kindness in my classroom. Stop. If your students don't feel comfortable to take risks and make mistakes in your classroom, you need to re-evaluate your student interactions. The children most of the time are not the problem. It's the teacher. You need to change what you're doing and help that kid feel included, welcome, safe, and explorative. Here are some strategies for guiding behavior. You could use behavior charts. I'll utilize Class Dojo to track behavior for parents and a visual for the students inside the classroom. I haven't yet decided, but I plan on doing something that is a system with taking pins down or giving or taking tokens, something that the children can see up on the wall and look to as a guidance and a role model of what you need to do. Second, natural and logical consequences. Students can learn from their own mistakes when in a safe and monitored environment. There's no place better for that than in a school. Let them make their own mistakes sometimes. Positive reinforcement. This is a big one. This is something that was covered in every single class that I took this semester. I will praise students, give out behavior points, offer prizes, and special privileges. You have to give them motivation to keep doing the good things. Restorative conversations. I'd like to conversate with a student about undesirable behavior so they can reflect and recognize the issue. In the event that I'm having an issue with a student, I'd like to be able to sit down with them, have a conversation that's open and honest about why they believe this behavior is appropriate, why they're doing it, how we can keep them from doing it in the future. All right, next are some scenarios that might happen where you need to guide behavior. So the first one is a student hits a peer. First, give attention to the student who is harmed. Follow this with, hitting your friend is not nice behavior. I think we would need to remove a token. Now, should you apologize for hurting your friend? This guides the child in the right direction, and it works better than framing it as, you hurt your friend and you need to apologize. You're making it their decision, which is making it a learning experience. Secondly, there could be distracted students during carpet time. These are some of the phrases that I heard when observing in classrooms and researching and reading in some of my books. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Mouths closed and listening ears on. Hands in your lap and ready to learn. I'm honestly very excited to start using these in a classroom. This is a quote I felt important to include. In an effective classroom, students should not only know what they are doing, they should also know why and how. This says exactly what a classroom needs to be, honestly. All right, next, differentiated teaching approaches. My classroom will use whole group discussions, small groups, and individualized content. Working with students one-on-one is especially beneficial. I'll use adaptive strategies to help students with special needs, trauma, or language barriers. My classroom will be a very safe space for students that have special needs and accommodations. We will do all types of activities in my classroom. I'll use visuals, dances, fun and interactive lessons that all grow these learners. Teacher reflection, reflecting for growth. We don't learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. John Dewey. When considering my approach to discipline and classroom management, I look to John Dewey. I align with many of his teaching values and plan to utilize his discoveries as an American philosopher. One value being self-reflection to evaluate your own growth. I plan to reflect on classroom dynamics and routines when revisions are needed. I will also seek feedback from outside parties and attempt to observe my classroom approaches without bias. I always want to be growing and learning and trying to become a better teacher. I will take constructive criticism and criticism if necessary in order to become a teacher that students love, admire, and learn from. Upholding ethical standards, big one. My classroom conduct will always follow the NAEYC Code of Ethical Conduct. This involves protecting students' confidentiality and avoiding labels. Handling discipline will be done privately, quietly, and without shaming. Sometimes I like to think if I was a mother, would I want my child being publicly punished in a classroom, even if it's in a small setting with just his peers? No. Never. It should be a private, quietly done so that the student doesn't get upset, hurt, or feel apprehension when coming to you in future circumstances. All right, so the National Association of State Directors lists these as the principles for modeling a code of ethics: responsibility for the profession, responsibility to the school community, responsible and ethical use of technology, responsibility for professional competence, and responsibility to students. Research-informed practices. During my teaching career, there will be new discoveries and practices used to work with children. To be the best teacher I can, I'll need to consistently educate myself on the new skills I'll need to possess. I will engage in ongoing professional learning experiences to do this. I'll use evidence-based practices in my classroom, like conscious discipline and the incorporation of music for memorization. A teacher 10 years ago thought that what she was practicing was the best possible practice. And now, teachers now think that what they're practicing is the best possible practice. Neither of those are true. It's actually that it's always growing, changing, and learning, and you as a teacher have to grow, change, and learn with the students and with the curriculum. Advocating, not labeling. Being a teacher means teaching a lot of different characters and having to adjust responses to each of them. Without realizing it, we may unintentionally label students with their repetitive behavior. It is essential to remember a key part of children before deciding to label or discipline them. A concept that should be considered is that behavior is communication, not defiance. That quote really stuck with me. Not labeling students is easier when you eliminate loaded vocabulary to open ourselves to insight given to us by the students themselves. Individualized plans for children. Every child is unique, with their own background, temperament, and developmental needs. My guidance philosophy involves creating individualized plans that support each child's emotional and behavioral growth. By observing the children closely and working with families, I can tailor strategies that respect their experiences and help them thrive in a supportive, consistent environment. Reflecting on my personal impact, as an educator, my behavior directly influences how children feel and respond. I aim to model calm, respectful communication and manage my emotions effectively, knowing that children often mirror adult behavior. By being consistent and reflective especially, I create a safe space for learning, helping children build trust, self-regulation, and positive relationships. Here are some of my classroom management and rules, what I'm going to expect of students and how I'm going to approach that. I plan on setting clear classroom and behavior expectations within the first week of school. It will be a collaborative effort between the class and I, where I guide them through the process. This will be some students' first time in a setting with rules and expectations outside of their home. We as teachers will recognize this and be patient, kind, and understanding. Rules will be made in a visual format that students can refer to daily, along with printed out and laminated mini versions for each student's desk. That was an idea that I got from a classroom that I observed in. She had a visual of the rules and the things that the students made at the beginning of the class, and then she also had laminated copies for students to keep at their desk. I think it's a great idea to have students point out the exact rule that they're breaking whenever it's occurring or after. It's a good lesson. Here are some strategies. Class dojo and behavior charts to hold students accountable. Practice makes perfect. Students will be given the opportunity during the first week to model expectations in a fun way. Posters, visuals, stickers, all of these things are your friend. Give the students a choice. If the students help make the rules, it immediately makes them more likely to follow through. Have students refer back to the visual and point out what rule they have broken in a private setting. Sit down and understand your students' behaviors and misbehaviors. Here are some of my final thoughts. My personal philosophy on discipline is that when it's done the right way, it helps students grow and learn successfully in the classroom. I believe that children thrive in a setting that is comfortable, colorful, and full of positive motivation. Creating this kind of environment starts with strong relationships, especially by working closely with families to better understand and support each child. To guide behavior and support all learners, including those with special needs, I'll use strategies like behavior charts, clear expectations, and positive reinforcement. These tools help create a safe and supportive space where students know what's expected and feel encouraged to do their best. My goal is to always teach, not punish, to help children learn how to make good choices and feel proud of their progress every step of the way. I also know that learning never stops for teachers. I will always strive to grow in my practice by using current, research-based strategies that meet the needs of every student in my care. Thank you for listening to my presentation.